Certainly. Here's the updated version with popular American fast fashion brands instead of H&M, Zara, Shein, and Forever 21. The hidden truth about fast fashion: how your clothes are hurting the planet. What is fast fashion? Fast fashion refers to the rapid production of inexpensive, trendy clothing that reflects the latest runway trends or popular styles, often sold at prices so low they're almost impossible to resist. It's a business model that thrives on speed and volume, constantly delivering new clothes to stores every few weeks. Think of companies like American Eagle, Express, Urban Outfitters, and Target. They churn out mass-produced garments in massive quantities at astonishingly low prices. But behind the bright, shiny storefronts and affordable prices, there is a dark side that's wreaking havoc on the planet, people, and communities. The impact on the environment. The environmental toll of fast fashion is nothing short of catastrophic. Here's why. 1. Textile waste. The average consumer buys 60% more clothing than they did 15 years ago, but these clothes are being worn half as long. Fast fashion brands thrive on this short-lived cycle. Clothes are designed to be cheap and disposable, meaning they have a very short lifespan. The sheer volume of discarded clothes leads to massive landfills filled with textiles. In fact, 85% of all clothing ends up in landfills each year, contributing to soil contamination, toxic emissions, and the overuse of space in these landfills. 2. Water waste. The fashion industry is a huge water consumer, with some estimates suggesting it takes around 2,000 liters of water to make just one pair of jeans. The production process uses toxic chemicals, dyes, and finishes that pollute water systems, harming wildlife and ecosystems. 3. Carbon footprint. The textile industry is one of the largest contributors to global greenhouse gas emissions, releasing around 1.2 billion tons of CO2 annually, or about 10% of global emissions. The production of synthetic fabrics like polyester and nylon, derived from fossil fuels, adds to this pollution, as does the shipping of goods around the globe. 4. Microplastic pollution. Fabrics like polyester, which are a major component of fast fashion garments, release microplastics every time they are washed. These microplastics pollute our oceans and enter the food chain, impacting marine life and eventually human health. The human cost of fast fashion. Fast fashion not only harms the planet but also exploits millions of workers in low-income countries. The reality is, the cheap clothes we love come at the expense of vulnerable communities. 1. Sweatshops and child labor. Many fast fashion companies rely on factories in developing countries where workers are paid a fraction of a living wage. These workers, including women and children, often work in unsafe, exploitative conditions with long hours, low pay, and no rights or protection. In some countries, child labor is still used to keep production costs low. Children as young as 10 years old have been reported working in hazardous conditions to make cheap garments for major brands. 2. Unsafe working conditions. Workers in fast fashion factories often face dangerous working conditions, including exposure to toxic chemicals, poorly maintained equipment, and lack of proper ventilation. In many cases, the factories are overcrowded and lack adequate safety measures, leading to fatal accidents like the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh, which killed over 1,100 people in 2013. The financial reality: why fast fashion is so cheap. You may be asking, how can they sell clothes for so cheap? The answer lies in the business model of cheap labor and mass production. Cheap labor is a core component of fast fashion. Brands outsource production to countries with lax labor laws and lower wages, where workers are exploited for their labor, paid below minimum wage, and sometimes even forced to work under inhumane conditions. The materials used in fast fashion are typically of poor quality, which means they're cheaper to make. However, the downside is that these materials often fall apart quickly, contributing to textile waste as people discard their clothes after just a few wears. What can you do to help? The good news is there are steps you can take to reduce your impact on the environment and avoid supporting companies that harm workers and the planet. 1. Buy less, choose wisely. Start by buying fewer, better quality clothes that will last longer. Sustainable fashion is about choosing items that you really need and prioritizing quality.